at the border. It's going to be easier for Canadians to make trips to the U.S. if they want. Now they need a PCR test to get back home into Canada. Now they'll be able to get by with a rapid antigen test, but it's going to have, it can't be one from home. It's got to
can't
be
be self-administered
from a lab or healthcare provider. So a little bit of an easier step to perhaps get back home and make trips down here. And as we've heard, certainly from leaders on this side of the border here in the North Country, they are just waiting for steps like that. That will allow Canadians to come back for day visits, because they really haven't been able to unless they've needed to visit family or needed to come down for business. A lot of them just aren't making the trip down still.
I understand those voices of concern and those voices of disappointment but the truth is to sort of, and it's great to advocate for sort of relaxation of measures, particularly when we see COVID numbers, 19 numbers for transmissibility and deaths, but particularly transmissibility and dropping, right? That's all very good. But the truth is, I think this is from my conversations and my readings of things with folks who work not on the business or the political end of things, but on the science side of things, that this is sort of like we need to be, it's not a one and done. We knew that with the Delta variant or the Delta, we knew this now with Omicron. So what's next? So we shouldn't be sort of saying or looking at this saying, okay, we get that it's all said and done. It isn't. It's going to continue on. We don't know. I mean, the bottom line is, as epidemiologists tell us, medical physicians, is that until we have a much larger percentage of the world's, not Canada or the United States population, immunized, I mean, we're going to always be vulnerable. So that means that political officials will always, feel the need, if necessary, if changes happen, to go back and to restrict access. So yes, it's good to have voices that are, in the North Country and other words, but I think it's short-sighted not to look at the bigger picture. So
you think we may be going through these phases for years to come?
I think so.
And again, in the North Country, the hope was that if we see the numbers continue to drop, that Canada would then get to the point where they did for just a few weeks last fall, allow the Canadians to make day trips and not need a COVID test to get back home into Canada.
We may see that again, but with the proviso that if something pops up unexpected, God forbid, another type of very lethal, variant of the COVID-19 virus hits us, they'll feel completely within their rights to sort of scale back things and provide less access and less opportunity to cross the border.
And potentially lockdown like we saw just a few weeks ago over the holidays.
Exactly. So, we have to be cautious. I think when we get these I think these are windows, and they're very, comparatively speaking, they're brief windows. So when you get them, enjoy them, because what's coming next may not be as warm and fuzzy. So.
And I know there's frustration on the part of officials here in the North Country that Canada and the U.S. don't seem to be talking. They don't seem to be on the same page as they have been for so many years about, okay, here are the metrics and here's what we're going to do, and to try to get things equal so that it's much easier to cross the border. And it still doesn't appear as if they're there.
And you're quite right. That dedicated, regularized conversation, which of course, for various groups, politicians and business communities, is always pitched with a prescriptive message, which is you need to talk to each other because, by the way, you need to relax measures and you need to facilitate cross-border business and so on and so forth, and that's fine. But the truth is, no, that level of engagement, but it's not specific to people have to understand, once again, this is not specific to the sort of lack of engagement between Canada and the United States. It's not specific to the onset of the COVID pandemic. This clearly goes back several years. I mean, we're talking 30 years. If you look at the arc of the Canada-U.S. relationship and the sort of special relationship, as it was often dubbed, that's sort of in the world we live in today, where the United States is less reliant on Canada for so many things, and you know, is focused on other challenges in the international community. And when you have very mature agreements and industries in place, you know, that are sort of humming along on their own, you know, I think, as I've said in previous conversations, Joe Biden doesn't wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, you know, I've got to focus on Canada today all day." I mean, Canada's like, you know, 47th on the list of priorities. So I'm not surprised. And so, yes, you can advocate for, you can lobby for, and you can bemoan the fact that Canada and the United States aren't talking as actively or as engaged as they used to be. I'm not sure that's going to return.